Hello and welcome back to another bike tour of Detroit. Today we're going to be looking along Warren Avenue, looking at the Arab capital of North America. And I'm going to start off by talking a little bit about the history of how this Arab American community came to be here in Detroit. And right now we're just going to be going along Warren Avenue. At the beginning you saw a mosque there. I just want to start off by kicking away some stereotypes and whatnot. Like, if you are Arab, you are not necessarily Muslim. Just like if you are Muslim, you are not necessarily Arab. Referring to Arab Americans, they're going to be people coming from Arabic-speaking countries, like in the Middle East and North Africa. And so just there you saw a Tim Hortons, which I just want to point out that is one of the largest Canadian chain like coffee shop type places. And since Detroit is the largest city on the border between the US and Canada, you're gonna see some Tim Hortons here and there. But back to talking about what is the Arab community in Detroit. So right now we're in Dearborn, which is a majority Arab American city. Overall, it's pretty interesting and fascinating because you just don't hear a lot about the Arab American community that's here in the Detroit metro area. Even though like it's outside of like literally the Arab countries themselves, like you're just not gonna find stuff like this. And you'll see as we go along, like there's like Arabic signs and Arabic businesses that operate in both English and Arabic. It's something that I knew going into like doing my research on moving to Detroit. I knew, oh, okay, there's a high Arab American population, but I didn't actually know what that actually meant. And until I came here and I saw, oh wow, this is actually something that's very unique and that I've definitely never seen before. And so we can take a look here. I just wanted to ride my bike through a little alleyway. Because these are pretty cool in Dearborn. It runs like parallel to Warren Avenue here, where you're right next to backyards of other houses. In Detroit, we have these as well, but most of them are kind of like either dirty or there's like trees or whatnot blocking the way, so they're not very used. But that's something that we can work on as we continue to clean up the city and whatnot. But also the Arab population is super high compared to the rest of North America in Detroit, but also it's not like a huge amount, So there's Dearborn, there's a couple other suburbs that have a pretty significant portion of Arab American population. Detroit does as well, but also Detroit is the major city with the highest percentage of African American population. So coming in at like 70% of the population, that's obviously quite a lot. And so there's also, if you want to just talk about go over demographics and whatnot, we can talk about the fact that there's a Mexican town in Detroit as well. And then also you look at Detroit metro area, there's the Caucasian population is above 50% in the whole metro area. So I guess we see you, Detroit, we got a little diversity going on. And so I'm not going to go over the exhaustive history of how this community formed here in Detroit, but I'll just talk a little bit about it, and I'll leave a link in the description to one of the articles I use. And then also feel free that if you do know a lot about this to leave some information in the comments, and feel free to do your own research if you don't as well. So this goes way back to the 1880s, and The three main spots that people came from were Lebanon, Yemen, and Syria. And if you want to give some honorable mentions later on, would be Iraq and Palestine. But for the most part, just like many other people coming from different parts of the world, the idea was to come to America to have a better life. And at this point in time, the industrialization, and specifically in Detroit, the auto industry started to boom, around the 1920s and whatnot. And so this is a time where there was an excess in good jobs, and jobs that allowed you to be in the middle class and actually thrive back in the day and potentially live the American dream. Come to the U.S. and build a better life for you and your family and your descendants. And so over time, almost 150 years at this point, people coming from the Arab world, this was a hot spot. It allowed people to come to the U.S. and actually still have that community, the Arabic speaking community, and not lose, where they're from, but also live a new life in the culture of the U.S., which is honestly kind of just like a mix of many different cultures around the entire world. And so whether just to escape poverty or war or whatever, people came over time. Built businesses, and you can see some Arabic. I could try and read Arabic, but I'm probably not good. So I can say a few words, I think, but I definitely can't speak. A little Duolingo action with some Arabic. And going way back to the mosque we talked about, like the first Arab, people who came to the U.S. were actually Christians. So there's that. But it's just something that I find very unique, and I don't see or hear a lot of people really talking about the community that has been built here in the Detroit metro area. You can see there's also a little bit of snow going on here. I forget exactly how many days after the snow this was, but we are in February, as you can see top left where it says February 10th, 2022, so still in the thick of winter. The second coldest month is February, the coldest month is January in Detroit. And so here we're going to cross Greenfield. Which I said Evergreen, but it's actually Greenfield Road. And you can see the Welcome to Detroit sign. And we will continue on until we get to a certain part where I turn into take a look at some neighborhoods and some of the houses around the city. This is on the west side. Like I said, adjacent to Warren Avenue. We're going to be mostly between Warren Avenue and Joy Road. So I'll keep you updated once we get to different spots that I need to point out. So now here we come up on the houses, which I didn't really do a lot of in my last video when we were going through downtown Detroit, just because downtown is more of like a skyscraper type place rather than, you know, a neighborhood. But for the most part, when people think of Detroit nowadays, at least from what I have had my perception as before coming here, was that, oh, it's a high crime place, it's filled with abandoned houses, and it's just the remains of like the auto industry and manufacturing that went away. I mean, it's not like it's not a high crime place, it's not like there aren't abandoned houses, and it's not like the auto industry still doesn't have importance here. It's just that I think there's a lot more to say about Detroit when you're actually here. You saw the downtown. If you didn't see that video, you can be sure to click on that video after this one to see all the different things you can do downtown Detroit, how that looks, how clean it is compared to a lot of other downtowns in the country. But even this neighborhood right here, I mean, it's not too shabby for me. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'll say that one of the downsides, some of the nice neighborhoods in Detroit, well, this is kind of just a medium neighborhood, not too shabby, but like a lot of the spots, like you go to downtown, there's so many different things to do. I think that there's just a lack of things to do in the rest of the city of Detroit, which, you know, maybe that's not a bad thing. But it's just something that I noticed. There's not necessarily a whole lot of activities you can partake in. There's a bunch of parks all over, so that's pretty cool. And we're actually going to be coming up on a park later on. That's one of the largest parks, honestly, that I've ever been to. But just talking about like my experience in Detroit, you're looking at it right now, the snow. That's something I didn't really experience before. If you're not a fan of snow, that's fine. I think I am a fan as of right now, at least. Like, it just looks so pretty, and it's kind of fun. I mean, I don't mind it. I'm more of a fan of cold places rather than a really hot place, so that's just me though. Also, an interesting point that I just watching this video reminds me of is that you go to different neighborhoods throughout Detroit, and you can almost tell which neighborhood you're in, or at least like which side of town you're in based on the houses. I just find that pretty cool. Like Southwest Detroit has a different aesthetic than you know, this area, and this is like Warren Ave community. I believe if you look on Google Maps, this is Warren Avenue community. So now we got L. George's Coney Island. Just wanted to show that just because that's, when I was doing DoorDash, that's quite a popular restaurant over here in the west side of Detroit. And like I said in the previous episode, there's a bunch of Coney Island restaurants all over Detroit. And they're not like all a chain, they're all different. At least most of them are like independent from each other. And right there we got Captain Jay's Fish and Chicken, another spot that the residents of Detroit are a fan of in this area. And so I think we're in the Warrendale neighborhood. I mean, these are kind of the houses I think of when I think of this area of town. There's a more stereotypical type house that I think of and I picture in my mind. But other parts of the city, you're going to get like a different like brick color. Some of these are brick houses, but some of the non-brick ones that you see here are more the ones that I think of when I think of this area. I hope you are enjoying, though, just getting a tour, basically, of some of these neighborhoods. We did the downtown area last time. This time we're going more Warrendale area along Warren Avenue. And maybe if there's some part in particular that you want to see next, I can try and do that. So now we are approaching Tireman Avenue. It's one of the other main roads in this spot. This one's not quite as wide as like a Warren Avenue or a Joy Road, but it exists here as I chug along the snow and trying to actually bike over some of this snow that hasn't been shoveled. Some of the ice that's there. Which, if you appreciate the effort, drop a like for biking in the snow. If you know what I'm saying. This house sounds like a fireplace. Little fireplace out in the front yard. Okay, I see you. I think these houses on the right, you see the white top. It looks like a flat face style house. That's not exactly what I'm talking about, but it's pretty much what I'm talking about when I think of the houses in this area. That's pretty much what I'm talking about right there. Now we're going to be coming up on Rouge Park, which part of it is going to be on the left here, but for the most part, it's just a pretty huge park with just like some trees, some grass, a little bit of trails. I haven't been on the trails yet, so maybe that's something I can try out in the future. It's just a massive park. There's like this spot on the left, and then there's another spot on like Joy Road where there's like play structure and in a field to play maybe soccer or something like that. But there's also like Eliza Howell Park, which is basically just north of Rouge Park, which is an equally large park with, both of them have the Rouge River running through them. And it's just a big, massive green space for you to enjoy nature, I guess, right here on the west side of Detroit. That was actually, I tried to show like on the right, there was like just a random house in this field, and I'm just like, oh wow, that's funny. There's literally just one abandoned house in a field of nothing really. So now we're going to be coming up on Joy Road, and there in the front is going to be where that other spot that I was talking about, like the big field, little playground. It's going to be right there ahead of us. But it's the infamous Joy Road. Oh, spooky. I think people associate it with danger and crime, maybe. I'm not sure. This grocery store right here, this holds a special place in my heart because it's one of the first grocery stores I actually went to when I was here in Detroit, and I was just doing something in the area. I think I was checking out Rouge Park and something like that, and I got some food there, and that's pretty cool. We got L. George's Coney Island. Again. Another location. Coney Island's kind of good because it's pretty cheap. Coney dog is only like $3 or something like that. Got a little drive-through action. Now we got a little snow action on the camera, if I see that correctly. A little bit of snow. It didn't really snow much. I don't think it was supposed to snow when I was out there filming this. But we're going to be coming up on the right here, the Gardenview Estates, which for the most part, you won't find a lot of new houses in construction in the city of Detroit outside of like downtown area, Corktown and whatnot. But here, this is pretty new community. Out here off Joy Road between Joy and Tireman. I mean, you can say that's good, you can say that's bad. I don't really have an opinion there. I like how the old houses look, especially the brick houses. I really like those. But I mean, new houses, might as well, I guess. There's definitely spots around the city where you can fix up some of the old houses and make them quite good. But a little new, I guess, never hurt anybody. And so we're almost 30 minutes in here, and I just noticed, well, I guess I also noticed when I was editing and cutting clips out of this video that we didn't really see any abandoned houses aside from that one random one in the field. I think we saw maybe a couple abandoned businesses, but for the most part, we didn't see any abandoned houses, which... that's pretty interesting. I would feel like you could spot one here and there, even in neighborhoods that are fully occupied, I guess. You still might be able to find a couple abandoned houses here and there. There's definitely other parts of the city where there's not actually many occupied buildings. It's mostly abandoned. But for the most part here, I didn't see too many. Now here's a train, which I kind of stood here looking at this train hoping that it would move for like, I don't know, maybe just 5 minutes or so. And then I tried to go around, and then I was like, oh, wait. And then I tried to cross the train track in a different spot, and it was like, oh, wow, the train's here too. Wow, this is a very long train. I eventually did find a way to get around it. Here, I think we're going through Dearborn. Again, I think we had to make a large detour because of that. And here's a couple Dearborn houses for you. And then in a second we'll be back in Detroit and finish it off there. But if you want to see more around Detroit, around other places that I will visit in the future, then be sure to subscribe, turn on notification bell to be notified when I do post a video. and I don't know, share the video with a friend to show them what Detroit truly is. And that's, for the most part, what I'm trying to do. Because ever since I've got here, Detroit has been the bright spot. Just learning about the city and the different neighborhoods, the things you can do, especially downtown, and just the overall different feel. The Arab culture that we talked about at the beginning. That's interesting to me. That's fascinating to see. And right here, we're going to finish it off in the Aviation Subdivision. The last neighborhood we'll go through. And this is honestly one of the top ones, in my opinion. I think there's definitely neighborhoods that are on the higher end in the city. But I would call this above average. And that's also part of the reason I wanted to do some of this filming, is just that, people hate on Detroit. I mean, there's no ways around it. It's just a fact. And I just don't think, you could definitely look at some of the stats and say, okay, yeah, it's true. But when you actually, see the people here and see the pride that goes into their city, yeah, it's not the most wealthy place in the world, but it's a place I've enjoyed, my stay here so far. And now you'll see me just die in the snow because I can't go over these ice blocks. And to finish it off, we are here. This is like, I think, Esper Drive or Street or something like that, Avenue, I don't know. There's gonna be like a park on the left here, and this is kind of a weird little street that I wanted to include in the video, just because for the most part Detroit is like a pretty nice grid, where you have streets running vertically, streets running horizontally, but then you just have this random street that goes across it all. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. And so you'll see like there'll be like intersections, and they'll have like, I don't know, like 6, 7, 8, well, maybe not that many, 5, 6, 7, 8, something like that, different stop signs, different directions you can go. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. We're going to end it once we get to Wyoming Avenue. But I do really hope that you had a great time here, and maybe you learned something new. I hope to see you next time I post a video. Let me know your thoughts on this, and peace out, my friends. Check out the other videos if you haven't seen them. Bye.